Mr. Chairman, I see that Mrs. Roybal Allard's amendment to prohibit funding for the border wall was blocked from even being considered by the House. But you are proposing that we self-execute Mr. Carter's amendment into the bill, even though it breaks the budget rules. That means, because you are self-executing it, requiring no vote and not giving her one, that members won't have an opportunity to debate or vote on the president's expensive and ill-conceived border wall. So, Mr. Chairman, I've got an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order, give the necessary waivers for the amendment by Representative Roybal Allard to Division E of H.R. 3219, number 1, which would prohibit the use of funds for border wall consideration. And I do have some points I'd like to make. First, the politics and the cost. The wall is not about immigration. If the majority was serious about securing the border, they would take up a comprehensive immigration reform bill, and as you know, there would be a lot of support on our side of the aisle. But the Carter Amendment is really about scoring a political win for an administration that is already veering badly off course. This so-called win will cost taxpayers $1.6 billion now, on the way to totaling more than $21 billion if the entire wall is built. President Trump has promised Mexico would pay for the border wall, literally, since day one of his campaign, although very few of us ever believed that. In his 2015 announcement speech, he said, quote, "I will build a great, great wall on the southern border, and I will make Mexico pay for that wall, mark my words," end quote. And just this month, even after meeting with the president of Mexico, he said that he absolutely still expects Mexico to pay for the wall, but here we are, spending $1.6 billion of taxpayer money on the same wall without nary a peso for Mexico. Now, only in Washington would something like this be considered a victory. Let's talk about the true cost of this amendment. The public stands to lose mightily if their hard-earned tax dollars go toward such an embarrassing and wasteful boondoggle. Let me put it in perspective. $21 billion could be used to double the federal investment, double it in public schools. It could provide 6 million people with health care under Medicaid. It would buy school lunches for tens of millions of low-income children. But these investments clearly are not a priority for Republicans or President Trump. President Trump's own budget director famously said, and please listen to this because when I saw it today, I really couldn't believe it. The budget director famously said that it isn't worth feeding hungry children if the nutrition does not improve their school performance, and that Meals on Wheels sounds great, but it doesn't work. Now, that takes care of the elderly and the children, and so that only the thriving middle class and people in the middle age, not middle age, but all of us here, except for me, maybe Elsie. Would you say that right, Elsie? We're finished, Elsie. We don't produce enough. But I think they disagree. Now, FDR said, and this is a good one, quote, "The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have too little," end quote. So let's talk about what this Congress and this administration and this committee have prioritized. Rolling back important protections that keep the air and water pure and clean, silencing scientists who are sounding the alarm on climate change, passing giveaways to big banks at the expense of consumers, attacking civil rights, including today the right for transgender Americans to serve their country. That was such a jolt and such a shock. And I think it's bringing back a whole sense of outrage. Now, Democrats aren't alone in calling this wall unnecessary. Representative Hurd, a former CIA officer, sits on the Homeland Security Committee and represents the largest border district in Texas. And he bravely testified here on Monday night against this wall. And he said, quote, Having a one-size-fits-all solution to border security doesn't make sense, end quote. Now, immigration has enriched our nation from its very beginning. In fact, we are known as a nation of immigrants. This interconnectedness is why our country has shaped the rest of the world rather than feared it. The President's new communications director, Anthony Scaramucci, said it's best when he wrote online, quote, "Walls don't work. Never have, never will," end quote. Apparently, the majority needs to relearn that lesson. After all, it was a Republican president, Ronald Reagan, who 30 years ago last month stood in West Berlin and demanded that another wall be torn down. Mm-hmm. Make no mistake, Mr. Chairman, if ever this wall is built, it too will be torn down. Not by immigrants crossing the border seeking freedom or any act by an outside adversary. It will come down because the American people understand, in a way that this president and many congressional Republicans do not, that you cannot barricade the United States away from the rest of the world. Mr. Scaramucci ended his comment about the president's wall by writing, and I quote, "Don't fall for it," end quote. Well, the congressional Republicans apparently have fallen for it because we astoundingly have this self-executed $1.6 billion of our hard-come-by money for the wall. But I have no doubt that the public won't, and they will hold you accountable for what you're doing here. This rule puts Mr. Carter's $1.6 billion border wall amendment into the bill without a vote by the full House. I am simply asking for a vote for Ranking Member Roybal Allard's amendment to block that funding. Every member of this House deserves an opportunity to cast their vote on this issue, which has been in the forefront since Donald Trump ran for office. And you are putting it in here with costing them $1.6 billion when they've been promised it would cost them nothing, and frankly, it's worth nothing, and not allowing them to speak on the floor through the representatives they send here to do that work for them. This is a historic moment. You may think for the better, I would say for the worse. It shouldn't happen here in the Rules Committee. None of you should not have the deciding factor for the 435 members who vote in this body whether or not to fund Trump's wall. Please give us a vote not to. I'm pretty sure you're afraid that if you allow a vote on this wall, that it will be defeated, and certainly I know that it should be. But whatever happens, that decision should happen on the floor of the House, not in this room. And I urge support of my amendment.